Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Hobby Hussy. Today I'm going to show you how I made a mock river table. First, I started out with a board that I bought from Home Depot. It's 12 inches by 48 inches, and it's pine, a poplar pine, I think. And I bolted it down or clamped it down to the sawhorses because I am about to route it with a handheld trim router. And I'm going to route a river through the wood. And I'm going from one end of the board to the other, and I'm just routing a river-looking line. It's not straight, it's kind of curvy, and the depth of it is not the same throughout the wood either. I think that gives the table some depth when I finish it up. So I'm calling this a mock river table because it's not nearly as elaborate as the other river tables that I've seen on YouTube, like Stone Coat Countertop and a few other ones do some amazing work. And they're also a lot of work. So this is an easier way out to get a river table. It looks like a river table, not near as fancy, but it has the look in the end. And also here I'm making a little lake on my river table. Just thought I would be cute there. But just go in a circle with the router. That's how I did it. I'm digging out everywhere that I want to be water. That's basically what I'm doing. Here I am cleaning up my mess with the little whisk broom. Just brush all of the sawdust and the wood chips off and get rid of them so they don't harm your other parts that we're about to do. And now I am staining the board. This is a dark walnut stain from Min Wax, and I really love the color, how it turns out. But I stain every bit of wood that I can see. I didn't stain the bottom, but the top and all the sides just put stain on it. And I sped this up so you don't have to sit and watch me do stain. I think everybody knows go with the grain and put it on liberally. Then I wipe off the stain with a lint-free cloth. And I buy those at Walmart in the automobile section. And I think they come in a pack. It's like 12 for $7 or something like that. I almost never reuse these, but I pretty much use every inch of this cloth. And here is the resin, Stone Coat Countertop resin. And I am mixing up just this little cupful because it doesn't take much to do this first coat. It's called a seal coat, and you're just kind of sealing the wood, protecting it from your next few coats of resin. So I mix it up really well. You mix it for like 3 minutes. Equal parts A and B, and you can order Stone Coat resin online. I think it's stonecoatcountertops.com. And then I brush that resin on, and you brush it really thin because you just need to barely coat it. Do the top in the river, in the lakes, and on the sides of the wood, all edges. Here I am making a dam for the end of my river because I dug it out a little bit too deep. And I don't want it to flow off over into the table. So I am mixing up some more Stone Coat Countertop, and I am putting in some Pearl X blue powder, and I think it's called True Blue. It's a really deep blue. It reminds me of the Caribbean. But mix it up really well. Again, you mix it for 3 minutes. And here you can see how deep and pretty this blue is. But I pour it all along my river. And don't let it overflow, and don't let it on any wood that is not dug out. And if you get some on the table by accident, you can wipe it off with your glove and then wipe your glove on the paper towel or something like that. Here I am putting it in my little lake, and we don't want to top this off yet because we're going to add some white resin on top of this, or some resin that is colored white. But put it all in the river, all up and down the board. Now I am mixing up some white Pearl X, into the Stone Coat Countertop resin. And I am making a thin stream on top of my lake. And then I make a thin stream all through my river, all the way across the board. And just a thin stream. You just want a little bit. You don't want to completely cover it and make it white. But a thin stream all the way down. And then I take a stick and run it through, and I'm kind of mixing just a little bit and kind of making little waves, just cutting back and forth, just to kind of give it a little more dimension. And you don't want just a stripe running down your river. I'm making my river kind of choppy, and my lake too. And then I torch the river and the lake. And this just kind of pops the bubbles, and it moves the white a little bit, gives it a little bit more blended effect. But really quickly, don't hold the torch anywhere too long. And after it completely cures, like 24 hours later, then I sand it all off. And the purpose of this sanding is to create a bond between this layer and the next layer of resin. And you want to sand off anything that's really raised up or really rough. I think I used 200 grit sandpaper, and I've got a little sanding block. And then I wipe it off with the paper towel and get all of the little dust off. Then I mix up some more resin, and this time I'm using a bigger cup. Parts A and parts B are equal. Make sure you get everything out of both cups. Mix it up for 3 minutes. And then I pour the clear resin over the entire tabletop. And then I spread it out evenly over the entire tabletop. And here I'm using the trowel. It's notched on one side to 1/8 inch, and it's smooth on the other side. And I'm just using whatever side I need to get the resin where it needs to go. And you push the resin to the edge, but not over the edge. Just keep smoothing it out. I do make sure to get some on the edges because you want some resin on the edges. And then I get to torch it again, and the purpose of torching is to pop the bubbles. And you come back about 5 minutes after that, torch it again, and then you come back 5 minutes later and check it and see if you need to torch it again. Okay, I let that cure for 3 to 4 hours. The resin was still tacky when I started my next coat of resin because I wanted it to bond better to my final coat of resin. So I mixed up 2 parts, A and B, equal parts, and stirred them up for 3 minutes. And I mixed up a little more this time because I want this to be my final coat and my thickest coat. So mix it up and then spread it out using the trowel. Go to the edges again, but don't go over the edge with the flood coat. Now I am chopping it out, as they call it. I dip the paintbrush in some resin and I get it wet, but then I start chopping it into the resin. I think I'm getting rid of air bubbles here to make it adhere to the table better. And also use some resin to wipe the edges, so you make sure you get some resin on the edges as well. But after you're done chopping it out, then it is time to torch it again. And just like before, torch it everywhere on the table and come back in 5 minutes, do it again, come back in another 5 minutes, do it again. Air bubbles kind of rise from the wood up, so that's why we're doing that. And I am running my finger along right underneath the edge of the table. This gets the drips. If you don't do this, you're going to have a whole lot of drips that are hard tomorrow. Now we let it cure for 48 hours so it gets really good and hard, and then you can add the legs. And this is how mine turned out. So just have fun making your own river table. Thank you so much for watching, and please like and subscribe.